one of the reasons that it was dismissed by so many is, okay, well, if we're being manipulated by reptilians and actually associated with another non-human group called the Greys, the classic Greys, they are also connected into this reptilian story. Where are they? Because I can't see them. Well, the answer to that is you can't see very much. That's the point. And you start to realize as you uncover the deeper levels of this rabbit hole, why there has been so much effort through the various authorities going way back to keep from us the nature of reality, the very nature of the reality that we are experiencing. So the people that say, well, if we were being manipulated by reptilian entities, we would see them, clearly don't understand reality. Hello, and welcome to the David Icke Dot Connector videocast. I'm going to be talking about a subject that's a little bit different this week, but strange as it may seem, because the world is very strange, it's very much related to current events. I have kind of attracted just a touch of ridicule in my life, really, in the last 31 years. And for a number of reasons, but the main one, I guess, is the fact that I've been talking about a race of reptilians, reptilian humanoids, that have been behind the manipulation of world events and absolutely current events. And of course, it's so hard for people to take that because they don't have it, to say the least, as part of their life, not in the way that they are aware of anyway. But I've been talking and writing over 3 decades about a plan to bring about what we're now seeing, global fascism. And there are a lot more open minds these days than there ever have been to see the world in different terms. Because if you had said in even January, February of 2020, that the world would become as it has so fast, then you'd have got the reptilian treatment. You're mad, that can never happen, that's impossible. It's happened. And despite first appearances, I'm not a kamikaze pilot. I don't come out with far out stuff without researching it over a very, very long period in endless countries as I've traveled around the world. I come out with it because the evidence has shown me that it's true. And that's how it turned out with current events. And the same level of research has been used to uncover the reptilian side of this story. This is the first book I wrote on the subject in the late 90s, 1998, called The Biggest Secret. The Biggest Secret was what we're talking about. And then in 2001, I followed it up with this one, with a very appropriate front cover, Children of the Matrix. And the research that went into those books, like I say, is the same level and focus and demand for evidence that went into uncovering this overall global cult plan for a global Orwellian nightmare state. And of course, I went through lots of ridicule, goes with the territory, goes with the job of looking outside the myopic norms that we're told to believe in. And one of the reasons that it was dismissed by so many is, okay, well, if we're being manipulated by reptilians and actually associated with another non-human group called the Greys, the classic Greys, they are also connected into this reptilian story. Where are they? Because I can't see them. Well, the answer to that is you can't see very much. That's the point. And you start to realize, as you uncover the deeper levels of this rabbit hole, why there has been so much effort through the various authorities going way back to keep from us the nature of reality, the very nature of the reality that we are experiencing. So the people that say, well, if we were being manipulated by reptilian entities, we would see them, clearly don't understand reality. Because this world we call human is actually just a tiny band of frequency, which the senses and the sight senses can decode. And if you look at the mainstream science estimate for the electromagnetic spectrum, which is basically this world, in relation to the wider universe, it's estimated that the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005% of what exists in this universe. Some say it's a bit more, as high as 0.5%, but it's tiny, that's the point. And visible light, which is the only band of frequency that we can see, anything outside of that our sight senses will not decode. Visible light is a smear of the 0.005%. Humans are basically blind to wider reality. I don't think that's an accident, personally. And so, if you don't realize that, and other things that I'll come to, then you're going to dismiss things that are absolutely true, but you can't perceive they're true because you can't understand how they can be true. So, someone says, look, mate, I'm standing there, and this UFO just appeared out of nowhere, and then disappeared into nowhere. Someone else will say, oh, this entity just appeared in front of me at the end of the bed or something, and then just disappeared. And to those that believe only, because that's basically what the narrative is, only in a apparently physical world, they dismiss that. You can't just appear out of nowhere and you then disappear. That's ridiculous. No, in your perception of reality, it's ridiculous, and I agree with you. If that was the case, it would be ridiculous, but that's not the case. This is a band of frequency which the sight senses can decode. Outside of it, it's all disappeared to the sight senses outside of that tiny band of frequency visible light. So when a UFO or an entity enters the frequency band of human sight, suddenly, to the sight senses, it's appeared out of nowhere. And when it leaves the frequency band of human sight, to the sight senses, it's disappeared into nowhere. But it hasn't disappeared. It's left the band of frequency that the human senses can decode and therefore perceive as reality. And these reptilian entities manipulating human society operate in that periphery, outside of human sight, and thus we don't see them, but they can enter our frequency. I think that the ones I'm talking about can stay here for very long because it's not conducive to them, but they're working on that, as I'll come to. But they are manipulating from the shadows, if you like. And what is playing out, their agenda on humanity, is this global cult that I talked about endlessly. This network of global secret societies which are have an interlocking central command. And I call that center point of the global web the spider. And the spider ultimately is not human and is in part, indeed in major part, these reptilian entities. And when I was looking at this, and I was meeting people all over the world, this is the 1990s now, who had seen these entities and who had seen apparently humans change into a reptilian form and then back again, shape-shifting. I'm going to explain how that happens as well before I'm finished. But when I was talking to these people in, if you like, the modern world, I thought, well, this can't just be happening now. It must have a history. So I started looking at other cultures, the belief systems of the various religions, and what I saw was an amazing common theme of A, there was a hidden force manipulating human society from the hidden, and B, in a very large number of cases, that force was described in reptilian terms. So these reptilian entities were perceived in the ancient world as gods. When they were making sacrifices of young virgins to the gods, this is the nature of the gods that we're talking about. I had long conversations with a Zulu shaman, sadly no longer with us, called Credo Mutwa in South Africa. And he was describing ancient Zulu lore about this reptilian race that he called the Chitahuri, the children of the serpent. And on the iconic media platform, you can see my long interview with Credo Mutwa from back in the 1990s about this subject. But you look around other cultures and you see this reptilian theme. Go into Asia and you'll see the reptilian theme recurring. And there's another iconic program, an original documentary, not long out, called Divine Intervention, which I contribute to, which also goes into detail about what were these ancient gods and what are they doing now. So this global cult has as its driving force this reptilian race. These were the sons of God, actually in the original, before the translation, sons of the gods, in biblical terms, that interbred with the daughters of men, creating a hybrid race, which they call the Nephilim. I've seen the term fallen angels used for these entities too. And these interbreeding hybrid reptilian human bloodlines are what we call royalty. That's why they interbreed and always have, obsessively. It's to hold a particular code. And I'll come to that in a moment. But if we just take what I've said so far, you have a non-human force operating in the shadows, manipulating human society. Now, for their own ends, for their own outcome, for their own goals and agenda. So, do you think, the question should be asked, that non-human force would have an agenda beneficial to humans or beneficial to itself? Well, the answer is obvious, and so I say of current events. Why is what is happening in the world, and why is this global cult carrying out, imposing such a blatantly anti-human agenda? Let's go through some of them, and I could go through more. First of all, why have they demonized the gas of life, carbon dioxide, CO2, without which there would be no natural world, and without which there would be no humans? Not only are they seeking to stop generating carbon dioxide, people like Gates of the cult is funding technology to suck carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, the very atmosphere that the natural world connects with to suck out of the atmosphere CO2, which is basically its version of oxygen, its nutrient of life. Why would they do that? Using the hoax to justify it. Why are they blatantly targeting human DNA with these fake? Look at the agenda that's going on from all these different angles. And like I say, I could list many more. And you'll see it's all anti-human. Is it therefore such a jump to perceive that maybe this massive anti-human agenda might be anti-human because it's being driven by a non-human force, which is what I've been uncovering this 30 years, to much ridicule, but maybe not quite as much now in the light of what's happening. So, what if, on one level, that this non-human force, this reptilian race, is changing human society to suit itself, not least atmospherically, not least in the makeup of the atmosphere? And like I say, all the way through this period of history that I've been charting, there has been a theme, a constant theme, of the elite in whatever circumstance or situation historically, interbreeding with itself. Most obviously, we're talking about royalty. And interestingly, the snake, particularly the cobra, has long way back been a symbol of royalty. And the royal background, why they consider themselves a superior bloodline is because they are these hybrids, part human, part reptilian. And I'll come more into the way that that's manifests itself shortly. And so if they interbred outside of that hybrid code, then it would be diluted very quickly. And so there has been this obsession with the blue bloods interbreeding with each other. And when humans grew up, we still haven't in Britain yet, when they grew up to the extent that they rejected overt dictatorship by royal diktat and bloodline, these hybrid bloodlines went underground. They went into banking, into business, into politics, into all these other different areas that were not overtly royal, but they perceived themselves as such. And therefore they interbred incessantly in their dark suit situations, as they did before in royalty and aristocracy. And they've gone on manipulating human society ever since, but covertly. The most effective form of human control, because people are controlled and they can't see the force that's controlling them, unlike if they had an overt king or queen calling all the shots. And interestingly, I mean, I've been ridiculed massively for this, I don't care. I've talked about the British royal family being part human, part reptilian, and being one of these bloodlines, which obviously that would be the case in terms of the way royalty works and what royalty is. And there's two videos I'm putting with this one. One is by a lady who made this video outside Windsor Castle about a week ago, where she's describing how she was abused and satanically abused by the British royal family, and how, while it was going on, they shape-shifted into reptilian form. And alongside that video is another one that I've done, must be 20 years ago now, in California, with someone who is describing, in her experience, all those thousands of miles away, the same phenomenon that she witnessed in satanic rituals and the reptilian shapeshifting, and her experience too with the British royal family. And you can see that full interview on Iconic, but there are clips from it I'm going to put with this video.
So before I divulge in the reptilian field, I want to touch on this whole release of Epstein documents and Epstein files. See some people claiming some minor wins, minor victories, but hey, I'm not that enthused by this announcement, because first of all, they will release what they want the public to see. That's the first thing. They will doctor, edit, retract. Come on people, come on. What are you? Alright, what most people think they're gonna see with these files? What are you gonna see? And even if you see things so gross and diabolic, what will happen to Trump? Will he be arrested? Will he be in jail? Will he? Come on, people. Come on, let's not even go there. Nothing will happen. Nothing. And I hear someone say it. I hear a guy say it. They don't really care. Most of Trump supporters don't even care about this whole Epstein thing. They don't care about it. They don't care. Even if it's because, alright, how can this man still be the president of a real prime minister, the president of the United States? How can he really be? How can this man really sit and give an instruction, talking, and people? Oh, even though we know people is protesting, no kings, You know, King's demonstration, the whole California and a whole lot of state big protests. But how is this man still in charge of America? You probably one of the most psychos of man. Epstein, best friend. Best friend. No way we hearing that he gives BJ to what? Clinton. It's crazy. Yo, it's crazy people. So of course, and to connect the whole AI, reptilian, non-human force to all of this. Clearly, people, clearly, these mans are that. These mans are that, people. They have no heart. They're heartless, cold, deprived individuals. That's what they are. That's what they are, people. So I'm not gonna celebrate this whole Epstein thing and the release of the files. See a lot of people going on about it. Say, hey, files gonna be released. What's gonna be on those files? What? Hmm? What, people? Hmm? Let's see. Let's see, because I can bet all the money I don't have. There's nothing that's gonna let Trump be in prison or lose his presidency. He's gonna do it this 4 years unless the forces controlling this reality has different plans. That's the only reason. But no Epstein, nothing can do nothing to nobody. Because if that was so, this man would not still be in charge. Simple as that. There's no way, people. This, alright, a lot of companies, a lot of CEO, has something mentioned on their names about anything, like, very highly controversial or criminally liable matters. Even if it's not proven, they have to retire, they have to step aside, they have to take leave, some. And the seriousness of this whole Epstein thing, which most people are missing, people, the seriousness and the reality of what really went down, people. It's all about Trump and files, but the reality, people, and the whole connection to this whole reptilian agenda, reptilian forces, and what Epstein was doing, what he was getting off on, it just go to show, people. It just go to show what type of creatures are here, controlling, ruling. Crazy.